So from here you have to add some new attribute. So to do that, just click on that Add New Attribute. Here you are going to mention the attribute name. Okay, that attribute name should be reflect from the Hibernate file. It should be seen whether, if it is in lowercase, it has to be in lowercase. If it is in uppercase proper case, it should reflect the same. So you have to copy-paste. It's ideal. I mean, the best way is to update. You have to copy-paste from that Hibernate file. Do it now. You can mention the display name. Display name could be anything. So now I am going to type in the properties, employee type. Let me add ABCS for motion. Okay, the attribute is going to be string or any identity. Always it will be string. Okay, because you have created some, I attribute from target application. You are going to fit some data, so we'll learn. So as of now, let it be a string. If you want to populate any identity details. If you want to populate for some particular attribute, then you have to select identity. So let me select identity, and I'll tell so this group, factory searchable, multiple factory. So we will talk about identity mappings. So now the source mapping. Leave it, let me create this attribute first, after that I'll explain. So we have created the attribute. So this is the paid step. I think when you're talking about this one, right? Yeah, I see. One question comes to my mind, like when we creating these attributes here, right? Now falling. What we had already put in the Hibernate. So if it, for example, if you don't do the Hibernate step and database update and everything, if you don't do all these steps right, it'll just create an attribute from here, like, okay, click on, and okay, what's gonna happen? Wouldn't that gonna update the database? No, so in the database, there is no column related to the attribute. Then how? How we can store the value? We have to store the value right. That's the main purpose. I'm just thinking like what this place is doing. Where? What? What is the significance of this place? Adding these attributes? I understand we added in the file which will reflect in the UI. We updated the database because that's gonna keep the value. We are not going to follow these in the real-time project. I think you won't update in the Hibernate file. Might be, I'm not sure. You have to update in the Hibernate file. Then only you can generate the database. If you forgot to update in the Hibernate file, then database team won't be able to create the column it should match. Are you getting what I'm saying? Definitely it should match. So my question is the first two steps. Okay, the identity cube. We are creating another attribute, so we are updating database. Makes sense to me when you come to this place, right? Okay, we are creating new attribute. Where are we updating? What's happening actually? Where is? Where is it going? So let me open. So, as you said, we have updated in the database, Hibernate file, and we have created a database. So let me open any one identity. No attribute has been shown here. Okay. So because we have to follow all steps, then only it will follow. So if I'm going to update here, also it won't update. We have to follow one more steps for particular identity. If it is some application or entertainment attribute, then it's different scenario. I'll talk about that tomorrow. Okay, so, as you know, I have updated here also. But even though it's not updating here, if I'm going to refresh because fourth step we have to follow, it's all interlinked. We have to follow all steps, then only it will populate. So, as you've seen, I have updated right employee type. ABC and nickname I have added here also, even though it's not reflecting you. Only particular identity. It won't only for identity. Object. It won't reflect. We have to follow one more steps. Okay, so let's talk about. We have done the third step as well, so we have added identity attribute from here as well. Okay, from global settings identity attribute. The fourth step only applicable for identity extended attribute, not for application entitlement. Okay, make sure so to update. To follow the fourth step, go to the debug page. Go to Configuration Object. Go to UI Configuration. OK. So from here, you have to search for Identity View attribute. So this is the process you have to follow in your real-time project. You are going to follow the first step. You are going to update the Hibernate file. Second step you are not going to follow because you will access. You are not supposed to do from my point of view. So you have to get in touch with database team. Third step. Once you get a revert from them, you are going to follow the third step. You are going to update in the global settings. Fourth step. You have to update in the UI configuration. Here you have to update in the Identity View attributes. Here you are going to mention. So the file is too large for an answer editor. So just update immediately or else it won't allow you to save. So let me add from that Hibernate file. So I have added employee type. So make a habit for a copy-paste from Hibernate file. So I'm going to copy-paste a nickname as well. So nickname and employee type let me save. Okay, now I'm going to refresh this attribute. Okay, you open any attribute. It will be populate here. Does it make sense how we can add this extended attribute? So whatever attribute you are going to add, it will be reflect for all the identities, not particular identity. It will be applicable for all identities. It will be visible. So now you are good to store some values. That's the purpose of having this attribute. Right now, we will talk about identity mapping. So how I have done the mappings for this value. First name, last name, each and everything. Okay, we'll talk about that. Is it clear, guys, so far? So let me make a note. Let me close this Hibernate file. So the first step, you are going to update attribute name. In Hibernate file. Second, alter the table. Create a column. And an index as well, okay. So, second step. In real-time project, you have to get in touch with the database. Third step. You have to add the same attribute. From identity attributes. Global, from global settings. So from global settings. Identity mappings. The fourth step, you have to add the same attribute from UI configuration. In UI configuration tab, entry key name is identity view attribute. So these 4 steps has to be followed when it comes to identity extended attribute for application entitlement attribute. These 3 steps is enough. No need to follow the 4th step. No need to update from the UI configuration guys. So far, any questions? Because it's important, because in real-time project it's not about I mean your local system in real-time project. You will get these kind of requirement, and you should know how to manage on your own.